You see, kid, the funniest thing about all this, it ain't even funny. It's tragic. It's poetic. It's the kind of pain that doesn't scream in your face. It just watches you bleed and says, "Told you so." You gave them your time, your kindness, your loyalty. Hell, maybe even your soul. And what did they do? They turned their back the second you weren't convenient anymore. That's the punchline, sweetheart. That's the joke nobody laughs at. Because it's real. It cuts. It stays. And you're left standing in a room that used to be full of laughter, full of promises, and now it echoes with silence. Not because you left, but because they lost. And now they sit somewhere, probably with a smile they don't even mean, wondering, what the hell happened? I'll tell you what happened. They happened to themselves. See, people love to play victim in the stories they wrote with blood that wasn't even theirs. They'll cross a line, drag your name through the dirt, and when karma circles back, they'll act confused, like they didn't light the match. That's what they do. That's what they've always done. They want the benefits of your light without paying the price of standing in your fire. And when you stop explaining, when you stop chasing, when you go silent, they start hearing echoes of everything they ignored. Every warning, every chance, every little moment you begged them with your actions to just treat you right. But they didn't. They wouldn't. They thought you'd stay forever. Surprise, baby. You were the storm they laughed at until it took the whole damn house. I know it hurts. You gave them gold and they treated it like rust. You gave them presents and they called it a burden. You gave them your whole damn heart and they acted like it was disposable. But listen to me, and listen hard. You didn't lose them. They lost you. And that ain't just a phrase, that's a sentence. It's a life sentence. One they'll serve in silence, long after you've rebuilt. Because see, the difference between you and them is they needed someone to break to feel powerful. But you got broken and found your power right there in the mess, in the pieces. You put yourself back together with rage and scars and silence, and now you don't even speak, you move, and they feel it. Let them wonder what went wrong. Let them sit in circles and create stories. Let them scroll through your life trying to figure out when it all changed. You don't owe them the blueprint. You don't owe them the breakdown. They played you like a fool, and now the game's flipped. And the scariest thing about your silence, it ain't loud, it ain't flashy. It's calm, it's focused, it's surgical. It shows them exactly what you're capable of. When you stop wasting your energy, proving your worth to people who never deserved you in the first place. This world, it teaches the hard way. It doesn't hand you medals for surviving betrayal. It doesn't pat your back for crying alone in silence. It doesn't reward the ones who stay loyal to snakes. But if you finally learn that silence is power, that distance is healing, that walking away is the loudest scream ever heard, you'll stop asking, why did they do this to me? And you'll start saying, thank God I got away before it got worse. Because it always gets worse with people like them. Always. You just happen to wake up before the fire spread. Good for you. So don't waste another second explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Don't waste another drop of your loyalty on folks who drank from your cup and shattered it when it was empty. Let them miss you. Let them realize what they touched and tossed. Let them lie awake, playing back memories in reverse, trying to pinpoint when your silence started screaming. Let them sit in the consequences they swore they'd never face. Because the joke's not on you anymore, it's on them. And the punchline? You healed. Quietly. Let me tell you something about regret. Don't always show up in words. Sometimes it's just a stare, a pause, that fake laugh they force when someone brings up your name, a scroll through old photos they swore they deleted. You see, people never realize what they had until you stop giving it. And when you do, oh, suddenly you matter. Suddenly they remember. Suddenly, all the things they ignored are glowing in neon signs inside their guilt. But by then, it's too late. You're gone. Not just physically, you're gone in spirit. You gave too many chances. You overlooked too many red flags just because you believed in who they could be, not who they were. You saw potential where there was only manipulation. And now that the show's over, now that the curtain's closed, they want to act like the victims of a story they wrote with your pain. Funny, isn't it? But here's where it gets real dark, real honest. People don't change because you love them hard enough. That's the sick joke nobody wants to hear. You could pour your soul into someone and they'll still treat you like an option. You could cry, scream, break, rebuild. Hell, you could give them every part of yourself on a silver platter, and they'll still ask what you're missing. You were never the problem. You were just the easy one to blame. And they fed off that. They watched you break, and they stayed silent. They watched you bleed and asked why you stained the floor. They watched you carry the weight and whispered that you were too emotional. And when you finally drop it all and walk away, now you're the bad guy. Now you're cold. Now they don't recognize you. Good. You were never supposed to be recognizable to people who only knew the version of you they could control. Let them wonder. Let them stay confused. That silence you gave them, that was mercy. That distance you kept, that was growth. They thought you'd explain yourself again. They thought you'd come crawling, begging to be understood, to be heard. But you didn't. And that's what eats them alive. Not your anger, not your revenge, your silence. Because silence, That's not weakness. It's awareness. It's discipline. It's saying, I've said everything I had to say. You didn't listen then. You'll hear it now, in the quiet. They used to ignore your messages. Now they stare at your last text like it's scripture. They used to roll their eyes when you poured your heart out. Now they replay your voice in their head and wish they answered better. But you're past that. You're gone. You don't need closure from people who gave you wounds. You don't need validation from those who invalidated your entire soul. Let them chase their shadows. Let them rehearse their fake apologies to a mirror. Because the only thing more powerful than revenge is peace. The kind of peace that makes them wonder, did we really lose him? And the answer? Yeah, you did. And he ain't coming back. You're not the same anymore. You're colder, sharper, quieter, but not broken, reborn. And they'll never get close enough to hurt you again. Not because you hate them. No, because now you love yourself more than you loved the idea of them. That's what scares them. That's what haunts them. You finally saw your worth, and they can't afford it. They'll say you changed. Of course they will. That's the script. You used to be so kind. You used to be there for me. You used to care. Damn right you did. You cared when nobody else would. You showed up when everyone else disappeared. You stayed loyal while they tested how far they could push you. You listened when they lied. You forgave when they knew they didn't deserve it. You carried pain that wasn't yours to hold. You wore a smile over bruises they gave you. Emotional ones, the kind nobody sees, but you feel every damn day. And now that you put the armor on instead of the heart, now you're too distant, too serious, too different. Let them talk. Let them whisper. Because they don't miss you. They miss the version of you that tolerated their disrespect. That version is dead now. And the new you? That's the version built from nights you didn't sleep, from tears you didn't cry in public, from screams you swallowed just to keep the peace. The new you walks different, thinks different, chooses silence over explanations, walks away instead of proving points, and that burns them. You used to beg them to stay. Now they sit in silence hoping you'd come back. But this ain't a movie. There's no dramatic reunion, no violins, no running into each other in the rain. There's just you walking forward, not looking back, while they rot in the mess they made and called normal. Let them rot. Because the truth is, they didn't want you to heal. Not really. They wanted access to the broken version of you, the one they could manipulate, the one who kept giving, apologizing, explaining, fixing. But now that you've healed, you're dangerous. Not because you're cruel, but because you finally learned not everyone deserves to sit at your table just because they're hungry. They should have thought about that when they watched you starve emotionally and stayed silent. When they let you beg for love while they handed out their loyalty to people who never bled for them. When they saw you drowning and asked why you weren't smiling. You want to know the real punchline? They never expected you to rise. That's what scares them now. They thought breaking you was permanent. They thought you'd never get back up. But here you are, colder, wiser, cleaner. You've deleted the chats. You've cleared the history. You've removed the titles they used to hold like trophies. And now you walk past them like a ghost they can't touch. They reach out with "I miss you" and get nothing but echoes. You respond with silence, and they feel the weight of every "I love you" they never meant. That's not revenge. That's justice. Because when you stop bleeding for people who keep stabbing you, they start bleeding in their own silence. They made the rules. You just learned how to play better. And now, they'll sit with the guilt. They'll pretend they don't care, but they'll keep checking, watching, wondering. How did he become like this? Easy. They built him, brick by betrayal, slap by silence, fake hug by fake hug. They built this version of you with their lies, their absence, their ego, their selfishness. And now they're mad that you turned out cold? Ha, that's rich. They fed you ice and expected you to stay warm. Let them wonder what went wrong. Let them stay confused. Let them build fantasies in their head about how you just switched up. Because deep down, they know exactly what they did. You want to know what the real punishment is for people like them? It's not your anger. It's not the "I told you so." It's not even watching you glow up while they fall apart. No, the real punishment is you going silent, walking away without drama, no yelling, no explanations, just distance, permanent, unapologetic distance. That's what breaks them. That's what they never saw coming. They prepared for a war. They expected fire, but all you gave them was emptiness. And now they sit there in that empty room they decorated with your love and your effort and your loyalty, and realize you were the only thing keeping it alive. And the walls, they don't talk back anymore. The texts, they don't come through. The calls, they don't get returned. And the silence? Oh, that silence is louder than any scream you could have ever thrown at their face. Because silence haunts. It makes people replay every detail, every word they said, every word they didn't. It forces them to confront the version of you they destroyed and the version of themselves they try to hide. It's a mirror. And most of them don't like what they see when they're finally alone. They see what they did, who they became, and what they lost. And here's the twist. You didn't even have to do anything. You just stopped. Stopped trying. Stopped fixing. Stopped giving. And that's what messed them up. You became the lesson they didn't think they needed. You became the silence they'll never escape. Let me paint it clearly. They played with fire. Now they're watching their house burn. And no, you're not cruel for walking away. You're not heartless for choosing peace. You're not the villain in their twisted version of your story. You're the survivor, the one who woke up, the one who said, enough. And that enough, that's the word that echoes every single time they remember your face. That's the ghost that follows them into every half-love they settle for next. Because they'll try to replace you. Oh yeah, they'll try, but it won't work. Because deep down, they know you were the one who actually gave a damn. You were the one who stayed through storms, through silence, through disrespect. You were the one who chose them, even when they didn't choose you. And now? Now they'll sit with people who can't hold a candle to your presence. They'll fake smiles, laugh at empty jokes, post pictures with people they don't even trust. And at night, they'll remember. They'll remember your voice, your patience, the way you looked at them like they mattered in a world where everything is fake. And they'll realize they traded something rare for comfort, for control, for ego. Let that sink in. You didn't lose them. They lost access. And you gained clarity, strength, silence. You became dangerous the moment you stopped proving your worth to people who didn't deserve to witness your growth. And that, my friend, that's power. The quiet kind. The kind they can't post about. The kind they can't copy. The kind that turns you into a ghost they can't forget, no matter how many times they try to replace you. So don't look back. Don't answer when they just want to talk. Don't revisit wounds just because the one who gave them wants to feel better about themselves. Let them wonder. Let them suffer in their questions. That's not revenge. That's accountability. That's what happens when someone builds a house out of someone else's pain and then acts surprised when it collapses. They brought this upon themselves. You know what else they'll never admit? That they saw it coming. Oh yeah, they felt it. They just didn't think you had it in you. They gambled on your softness, on your loyalty, on your kindness. They assumed your silence meant weakness, not calculation. They mistook your forgiveness for blindness. They thought you'd always be there, just one apology away, just one half-effort message from coming back. But what they didn't calculate was your limit. Everyone has one, even the ones with the biggest hearts, especially those. Because the ones who love the hardest, when they leave, they never come back the same. And now you're different. Now they don't know how to reach you. Not really. They can try. But they're not talking to the same version of you anymore. The old you is gone. Dead. Buried under the weight of every lie they told. Every excuse they gave. Every time they called you too much while giving nothing. What stands in your place now is someone colder, sharper, smarter. Someone who doesn't explain anymore, who doesn't argue, who doesn't beg. Someone who learned the art of silence and the power of walking away. And that's what destroys them. Not just that you left, but that you didn't leave in pieces. That you didn't fall apart in front of them. That you didn't give them the satisfaction of watching you bleed one last time. Nah, you got up, dusted yourself off, and vanished. Quietly, no drama, just a locked door and a calm face. And that calm is terrifying, because it means you're done. It means they're no longer your concern. It means you saw through them, through their manipulations, through the fake tears, the false promises, the recycled apologies. It means you grew past them, outgrew their world, and now they're just spectators to a life they'll never be part of again. Let them watch. Let them watch from behind fake profiles, through mutual friends, through silence. Let them build narratives where they're the hero, where you're the one who changed, where you were cold or unreasonable. Let them tell themselves whatever helps them sleep at night, because deep down, behind the denial, behind the ego, they know. They know what they lost. They just can't face it. So they lie to themselves, to others. But truth has a funny way of bleeding through everything. It always finds the cracks. And every time they see you glowing, building, rising in silence, that truth stings. Not because you hurt them, but because they hurt themselves. They were warned. Maybe not in words, but in energy, in pauses, in the way your tone shifted, in the way your eyes stopped lighting up when they walked in the way you started falling quiet when they spoke. But they ignored it, because they thought you'd always stay. They thought they had time, thought you were the kind who never leaves. They were right. You weren't the kind who leaves. You were the kind who stayed until it hurt to breathe, until it killed you inside, until there was nothing left to give. And then you disappeared, not with a bang, but a whisper. And they didn't hear it at first, but now it echoes everywhere. That silence, it's in their mornings, their nights, in every moment they wish they could go back and fix, but don't know where to start. That's what regret is, kid. It's not loud, it's not cinematic, it's quiet, paralyzing. It creeps in during the moments no one sees, when the world stops moving and they're left with themselves, and the memory of the one person who actually loved them beyond reason. Let them sit in it. Let them sit in the mess they made while trying to test your worth. Let them keep wondering, where did it all go wrong? Because the answer is simple. It went wrong the moment they thought you were replaceable. You know what's wild? They never expected consequences. That's the part that really gets me. They really thought they could drain you, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and just walk away with clean hands. Like they didn't leave claw marks on your soul. Like they didn't rewrite your identity, one lie at a time. They wanted to be storms in your life, then act confused when you stopped building shelters for them. They wanted to poke, push, provoke. then cry victim when the fire they lit finally caught the room on fire. That's how these people operate. No accountability, no reflection, just entitlement. Entitled to your love, your time, your presence, your forgiveness. Like they were doing you a favor by keeping you close while treating you like a damn option. But see now they don't get access to the healed version of you. And that's what hurts them most. They saw you at your weakest, your rawest, when your voice trembled and your heart cracked in real time. They saw that version. And now that you've transformed, now that you've built something stronger out of the ashes of what they broke, they want to come back. They want to talk. They want to check in. But not because they care, not because they've changed, but because they're confused. Confused about how someone they used to control no longer answers the call. Confused about how someone who used to fold at every apology now doesn't even blink. That silence, it eats them alive. Let it. They created this version of you. The version that doesn't flinch. The version that doesn't over-explain. The version that looks at fake love and fake loyalty and walks the other way without a second thought. That version didn't come from peace. It came from chaos, from war, from battles you fought in silence, from pain you couldn't talk about because nobody would have understood. They didn't see those nights, the ones where you sat there wondering if you were the problem, where you replayed every word, every gesture, every mistake you thought you made. They didn't see that version of you, the one drowning in guilt that wasn't even yours. But you saw it, you lived it, and you survived it. That's the thing about people like you. You don't just walk away, you rise. You don't seek revenge. You let time do the talking. And the most brutal revenge in this world is healing in silence while they break in confusion. While they scramble for closure, for contact, for clarity, and all they get is echoes. That's the price. That's the bill. Because no one ever tells them when you mess with someone who truly loved you, you don't just lose them. You lose a version of yourself that only existed in their presence. They'll never feel that safe again, that seen, that forgiven, that supported. You were the gift. You were the calm. You were the peace in their storm, and they spit on it. Now they get chaos. Not yours, theirs. The chaos of knowing they had everything they claimed they were searching for, and they threw it away trying to look strong, trying to chase thrills, trying to prove they didn't need you. When deep down, you were the only one who truly saw them, flaws and all, and stayed anyway. That's what they'll never find again. No matter how many bodies they hold, no matter how many late night texts they send, they'll never get that feeling back. Because it didn't come from you being perfect. It came from you being real. And real is rare. Real don't beg. Real don't repeat itself. So let them sit there with their confusion. Let them wander through cheap conversations and shallow company trying to fill the void, because you're gone now. And not just physically, you took your energy with you. You took the version of you that would have moved heaven and earth for them. And what's left is silence. Cold, deafening, undeniable silence. That's the new language. That's how we speak now. And silence doesn't lie. You ever notice how quiet the world gets once you stop chasing people? Once you stop reaching out? Stop explaining yourself to people who never cared to understand you in the first place? That silence, it's not empty. It's clarity. It's peace, disguised as isolation. And yeah, it might feel like loss at first. It might sting, might feel like something's missing. But you quickly realize what's missing isn't love, it's weight. The weight of always having to prove yourself. The weight of walking on eggshells. The weight of being there for people who only showed up when it was convenient. That silence, that's not loneliness, that's freedom. And the people who used to take up all that space, they don't know what to do with it now. They sit in it, drown in it, choke on it, because they're not used to being on the outside of your world. They're not used to being denied access to your light. And that's what you were, light. Even on your worst days, even when you were breaking inside, you still showed up, still cared, still gave. And they didn't just take you for granted. They acted like they were doing you a favor by taking. They fed off your energy, your presence, your silence. And when you stopped giving, they started gaslighting. You're acting different. You've changed. You're cold. Damn right you are. You changed because they left you no choice. You changed because survival demanded it. Because staying the same version of yourself would have killed you. And that's the truth people don't want to talk about. Growth doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes it looks like cutting people off mid-sentence. Sometimes it looks like deleting messages you used to read 10 times. Sometimes it looks like silence when they finally decide to apologize. And it's not about being bitter, it's about being done. Done explaining yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. Let that sit. Let it burn into your memory that the strongest version of you was born the day you stopped caring if they understood, if they approved, if they missed you. Because when you're always explaining yourself to the wrong people, you start thinking something's wrong with you. You start believing maybe you were too emotional, too intense, too complicated. But the truth is, you were just too real. And real terrifies fake people. It exposes them, forces them to confront their shallow transactional love. So they run. Or worse, they try to change you, shrink you, silence you. But you didn't shrink. You evolved. Now look at them, watching you from a distance, studying your silence like it holds the answers to their emptiness. They thought they could walk away from you and be fine, but they were never addicted to your body. They were addicted to your presence, your attention, your loyalty. your belief in them when they didn't even believe in themselves. That's what they crave now. That rare kind of care they'll never find again. Because everyone else just matches their energy. But you went beyond. You gave them soul. And now they're stuck in shallow waters, trying to swim where they once had an ocean. Let them struggle. Let them reach for memories you no longer replay. Let them scroll through old photos and feel the emptiness in every fake smile they gave. Let them replay your voice in their head and realize too late what it meant. That's not cruelty. That's consequence. That's what happens when people play with hearts, like they're replaceable. That's what happens when they mistake consistency for weakness. That's what happens when they push away the one person who actually gave a damn. So don't go back. Don't reply. Don't soften your silence just because their guilt finally got louder than their pride. Let them wonder. Let them carry that question forever. How did we lose him? Because the answer will always be the same. They didn't lose you. They threw you away. You know what's twisted? They thought you'd wait. Yeah. Thought you'd sit there like some statue, frozen in time, arms wide open, heart still bleeding, ready to welcome them back when they finally got bored or broken or bruised by the people they chose over you. That's what they counted on. That you were always available. That your forgiveness was a faucet they could turn on and off whenever it suited them. But you didn't wait. You healed. And that's the most dangerous thing you could have ever done. Because now you see it all, clearer than ever. The manipulation, the gaslighting, the jokes that were never funny, the subtle digs that were really confessions, the "I'm just tired" that meant I'm entertaining someone else. You see it now. Every red flag you painted white, every excuse you swallowed, every piece of your dignity you gave up just to make them feel whole. But it's over now. And the version of you that gave without limits doesn't live here anymore. The new you, choosy, quiet, ruthless even. Not with revenge, but with peace. You guard it like it's sacred, because now you know the cost of letting the wrong people too close. You know how much it drains you to pour into someone who only shows up when they're thirsty. You know the weight of trying to fix someone who breaks you in the process. And now you pick yourself every time. You say no without guilt. You leave without warning. You don't explain. You don't beg. You don't break your own heart to protect someone else's feelings. That's not cold. That's survival. And they don't know how to handle that, because people like that. They don't expect you to grow without them. They think their absence is some kind of punishment, like you'll collapse the moment they walk out, like your world revolves around their attention. But you didn't collapse. You rebuilt. You upgraded. You moved in silence. And now Now they don't know who you are anymore. That scares them, because for the first time they can't predict you, can't read you, can't reach you. And the version of you that once sent paragraphs is now leaving them on red. That's power. That's evolution. That's freedom. Let them miss you. Let them scroll through your life like a stranger. Let them wonder who's holding the heart they shattered. Let them try to recreate what you gave with people who only give half. Let them sit in the silence you left behind and listen to it speak louder than all their fake promises ever did. And when they finally admit to themselves, alone, late, broken, that you were the real thing, that they had it all and wasted it, don't answer. Not out of cruelty, out of wisdom. Because when you finally learn your worth, you stop entertaining people who treat your presence like a favor they were doing you. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for someone like you. You stop giving your light to people who used it to warm themselves, then blamed you when they got burned. So no, don't let them back in. Don't fall for the tears, the "I've changed," the recycled apologies. Because some people, they don't miss you. They miss what you did for them. They miss the benefits, the attention, the care. But they never respected the source. And now that the source is gone, they're thirsty. Let them stay that way. Because real ones don't leave you guessing. Real ones don't let you break alone. Real ones don't take you for granted and call it love. They know what they did. And now they get to wonder what went wrong for the rest of their lives. And let me make this real clear. You were never too much. You were just too real for people who weren't ready to face themselves. You were fire in a world full of plastic. You were depth in a sea of shallow. So they did what cowards do. They blamed you for the discomfort they felt when they looked into your eyes and saw everything they lacked. You mirrored their brokenness, and instead of healing, they ran. And while they ran, you stayed. Stayed trying. Stayed hoping. Stayed believing that maybe, just maybe, if you gave a little more, they'd finally see you. But the truth is, they saw you from day one. They just thought they could keep you on a leash while they wandered. They thought your loyalty was weakness, that your love was desperation, that your silence was compliance. They were wrong, because real love doesn't beg to be chosen. Real strength doesn't chase half-hearted people. Real peace doesn't live in chaos. And now you know that. Now you walk different. Now your silence means something. It's not empty anymore. It's full of answers, full of boundaries, full of lessons written in blood and betrayal. And every time they hear your name, every time someone brings you up, every time they see a photo, hear your voice, or remember something small and stupid, like how you used to laugh at the wrong times, it hits, not like a punch. Number, like a slow, cold wave of realization that they fumbled someone they'll never find again. And that's their reality now. not yours. Your reality is cleaner, quieter. You don't beg anymore. Don't overthink every text. Don't wait by the phone hoping they'll suddenly remember you exist. That chapter is closed. That book is burned. Now you're writing something new. A life that doesn't depend on other people's ability to value you. A life where your peace is non-negotiable. Where your silence speaks louder than your explanations ever did. Because silence isn't about weakness. It's about value. It's about knowing you don't need to shout your worth into ears that were never open. It's about walking away without slamming the door, because you don't plan on ever coming back. Let them sit with that. Let them wonder how someone who used to bend so much could suddenly become unmovable. Let them spiral, trying to figure out what changed. Let them overthink their own reflection, trying to see where they lost you. And the truth is, it wasn't one moment. It wasn't one mistake. It was a pattern. A slow erosion of your soul by people who thought you'd never walk because you always stayed. But you did. And that walk, that was the most powerful thing you've ever done. Not because it was easy, but because it was final. And they'll feel that finality in the pit of their stomach, in the pause after every fake laugh, in the silence between their distractions. They'll feel it when they try to connect with someone new and realize that no one listens like you did. No one stays like you did. No one sees them like you did. Because no one loved them like you did. And they gave that up. They threw that away. For what? Attention? Ego? Games? Let them choke on it. You don't need to be angry. You don't need to get even. You just need to keep being unavailable. Keep being distant. Keep being focused. Let your growth haunt them. Let your peace expose their chaos. Because the moment you stopped showing up for people who couldn't even show up for themselves, that was the moment you became untouchable. And now, the silence you gave them, it's not just quiet. It's a punishment, one they chose, one they earned.